Salutations, friend. RJ Connell here of rjconnell.ca, your income strategist for creative and service-based entrepreneurs. And so today, I want to talk to you guys about how to navigate the situation when your customers ask you to lower your prices. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm a part of a Facebook group that's for creatives and some service-based entrepreneurs as well. And as I've just been connecting with different people in that group, I noticed this question kept coming up. People were constantly being asked by potential clients and customers like, hey, can you give me a discount? I feel like your prices are too high. So I just wanted to jump on and talk to you about this really quickly in case you've been in that situation with your business. Just kind of give you some tips about how to navigate that and what the best way to go about that is without undercutting yourself, but keeping quality business and making sure it's a good experience for both you and your customers as well. So typically, when the customer is asking you either for a discount, for a lower price, a lot of the time what happens is that they compare you to another service provider. So let's say that you're a graphic designer. If you are a graphic designer and they're asking you for business cards or graphics for your website or whatever product or service that they're coming to you for, and you quote them a price of $500 for the service they're asking for, whereas they know of another graphic designer that quoted them, let's say $200 or $300, then they compare you and say, well, your pricing is more than this other person, and then they ask you to lower your price. Here's the thing. If they're coming to you and saying, so-and-so charges less, or so-and-so does it for this cost, and they're asking you to lower your pricing, that means there's something that they want specifically from you. Because if they know that they can get it cheaper, why not just go there? So if they're asking you specifically to lower your pricing or to match somebody else or to match, some price that they've gotten in the past from another service provider, then that means there's something specific that they want from you. And they see a value in the service that you're providing. But oftentimes they're looking at somebody else's pricing, somebody else's quality of work, and they want your quality of work for somebody else's pricing, which is a no-go. So typically you have one of two options. Whoops. I had a feeling this was going to fall. But anyways, you have one of two options in that situation. And your option is typically one, you're going to lower your pricing, which as a service provider, especially as a service provider, because you spend a lot of your time, that might lead to resentment. That might lead to you not feeling confident in the quality of work that you're able to deliver, or it just might take up more of your time to do that same amount of work. Or two, you don't lower your pricing, you keep it the same, and you stand your ground. So those are pretty much your only two options in that situation. But there are also some people who are just starting out in their business, and so they are, I'd like to say, intentionally pricing themselves lower so that they can maybe build up their portfolio, get some confidence in their pricing. And I just want to speak to that really quickly. If you are just starting out in your business, and either you are a coach, maybe you are an artist of some sort, maybe you are a graphic designer, a dancer, you are a wellness coach, whatever it is that you might do. I want you to be very intentional with this. So if you are going to intentionally price lower than maybe some of your competitors, or lower rather than what you believe your services are valued at, I want to give you a tip. And if you're going to do that, one, make sure you limit either the amount of time you're going to do that for. So let's say you're going to do that for 1 month or 2 months or 3, whatever that might be for you. I would say limit it, put a cap on it ahead of time. 2, make sure that you are intentional about how you then work with those clients so that it can lead to more business in the future. So there should always be a system in place so that the clients and customers you work with at the very beginning of your business will lead you to higher paying customers if you know that you are pricing yourself lower than what you would like to at this point in time. So that's just some tips if you are just starting out. But in general, when you're handling a situation like this, one, when you're communicating with the client, I'm just going to give you 3 quick tips to help you if you're in a situation where someone is asking you to lower your pricing. One, I want you to highlight the value of your services and products. Again, if they're coming to you and asking you to do a specific job for them, they want you. There's something that they see. There's value that they recognize. There's a quality of work that you're bringing to the table that they're not getting somewhere else. That's why they're coming to you. So when you're replying and having this conversation, one, make sure you highlight that. 2, Think about how much more valuable does your service make them. So if you are providing a product at the end of the day, how much more valuable are they because of that? If you're doing graphic design and you are designing somebody's website, how much more valuable does that make that person's business or that person's blog or whatever it might be? How much more value are you adding to them because of the service that you're providing for them? So think about that, highlight that as well in your conversation with them. And lastly, be willing to say no. If a customer is not going to work with you because you're not going to lower your pricing, that's okay. There are going to be times where you have to say, okay, and be willing to part ways and be willing not to have that customer. One, because there are customers for every price range. So if someone is coming to you and they can't afford you, it's not that necessarily that you're too expensive. It's just that it's beyond what they can afford. And that's okay. It's okay for you and it's okay for them as well. It's okay to recognize that. As for an example, you're not going to go to Mercedes-Benz and be like, hey, well, Toyota sells their mid-sized vehicles for $30,000. So can you lower your Mercedes S-Class to $30,000 as well? Or can you lower it to $40,000 because Toyota sells theirs for $40,000? You're not going to do that. If you can't afford Mercedes, it's just not for you. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with their service. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just what it is. There are customers for every price point. So sometimes you have to be willing to say no and be willing to lose that potential customer, or rather make space for another customer who can afford you and who can truly see the value in the service you're providing and is willing to pay for it. So just to recap those again, one, when you're communicating with your customer or client, make sure you highlight the value that your service is bringing and the quality that they already see if they're coming to you to do the work. Two, make sure you highlight how much more valuable your product or service is going to make them, their business, the problem that it's going to solve, highlight the solution that you are giving them. And three, be willing to say no if necessary. You don't have to lower your pricing in order to accommodate somebody else's. There are cases where you can do that, but it is not a rule of thumb that if someone can't afford you, you're too expensive. It's just not a match for you. So remember that Toyota and Mercedes-Benz example that I gave you. So I just wanted to touch base with you and just kind of give you those tips to help you navigate that situation. So thank you so much. If this was helpful, go ahead and share this with a friend, or tag a friend below, another fellow creative or service-based entrepreneur. And I'm going to be doing a training talking all about pricing, going over the pillars of pricing, going over a strategy to help you price your products and services as well as your time, and going forward and teaching you how to roll out a price increase or how to make sure that you are getting the customers that fit your price point. So if you are interested in signing up for that training, I would love to have you. You can head over to rjconnell.ca/PFP, and that stands for Price for Profit. And go ahead and register for the training. We are going to be doing it in just a couple of weeks, so I would love to have you join. Thank you so much. I will look forward to talking to you soon. Have a great evening.